It's CelebReadies. Oh my God, my name is Jackie Zabrowski. Welcome to page 7.
My name is MJ, and kids, wait till you hear this.
Oh, wait
Today,
till you hear this.
we are talking Liza Minnelli. Now, before you switch the channel to something else...
Don't you dare come on over to the YouTube because you want to see my high kicks, don't you?
Jackie's doing a lot of Sally O'Malley. She likes to kick, stretch, and
I'm doing
kick.
bowls. I'm bowls, all right?
Okay, you're Sally Bowles from Cabaret, and I'm also Sally Bowles from Cabaret. Thank you for noticing.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone for noticing that we definitely dressed up early in the morning and to give you our each own versions of Liza. I do love that, MJ, you're really pushing the greasy, pointy hair version of Liza. But I'm going to say it. That's a huge portion of Liza.
Her hair is like, I feel like we should have a whole conversation about the cultural impact of her hair.
Of her hair, because we are here talking about, this is going to be the first part of Liza Minnelli's memoir. Kids, wait till you hear this.
Wait till you hear this. And again, if you are not riveted by this, just in and of itself, let me throw out just a couple of names that are going to appear in this book. Peter Sellers.
Whoa.
Mental health problems. Bob Fosse.
Whoa.
Obviously, Gene Kelly, Frank Sinatra.
Whoa.
A bunch of gay songwriters from the 70s.
Oh my God, every gay songwriter you've ever heard of is in this book.
She married them all. And we are listening to her and we are embodying her and we are looking up whether or not the book is augmented by AI. And it seems to be that the answer is no, and that the reason that the way she's reading it doesn't make any sense is not because it's a robot, but because she's Liza Minnelli.
It's the Valium, babes.
Lots of, I think, her brain has been through a lot. And you know what? Her heart and soul has been through a lot, too. And we're going to talk about it.
Oh, we are.
So let's get into it.
Yes, because life is a cabaret, old chum. And we're going to try, at least I'm specifically going to try to not just sing my way through the episode, but I do need you to know that I am going to be strapped into my YouTube seat, okay? I'm not going to be getting up. But my legs might be doing some of the dancing for me. Don't you want to come and check it out? YouTube.com/page7pod.
Hard to talk about Liza without wanting to sing and dance. And so before we get into the book, Jackie and I thought we should each share what our relationship with Liza Minnelli is going into this book. Now, I think we can all find common ground in Lucille Austero. Lucille, too, from Arrested Development, which we haven't even talked about.
MJ, I am going to throw this out there that maybe my fit is given a little bit more Lucille, too, than Liza with a Z. But that is not both. She is both. All right? She contains a spectrum, okay? I can't be 21 years old wearing this outfit, okay? I can't be half my age wearing this outfit. I do want everyone to know that is watching at home, I do have shorts on underneath this, so you're not just looking at my little red little doggy lips down there, all right?
That's good to know. I think that to even parse the difference between a 19-year-old Liza and a Lucille, too, she's just so obviously the Valium.
Are you going to bring up the Valium and the gay husbands? There's a couple of both in there.
But here's the thing. By age 19, she is already broken in many ways because her mother is Judy Garland. And that's really the biggest thing that I knew going into this book. And yes, I've learned a lot about Liza, but ultimately the subtitle of the book could be My Mother Was Judy Garland. And boy, did that fuck me up.
Except, MJ, you say that, but there's no way that Liza Minnelli, although she loves her mother, and her mother definitely didn't kill herself, there's no way Mama ever would have taken all those pills. There's no way all 13 times that she tried to kill herself that I even remember. There's no way that she did. But it is crazy what we really get is the sense, I know we're not even getting into this yet because you're right. What we do know is that Judy Garland was her mother. And we're talking about the gush, top part of this episode, right? My mother was still is, huge Judy Garland fan. I know she's not alone in this. I know that there's if you're reading the book, you definitely know everybody was a huge Judy Garland fan.
Everybody was a huge Judy Garland fan, and both Judy Garland and Vincent Minnelli come from vaudeville. I was first introduced to Judy Garland in a film called For Me and My Gal, which is about vaudeville performers. And so that's kind of fun because Judy Garland comes from vaudeville. She sang with her sisters. Her name is like...
MJ, I think you wanted to say Mama was born in a trunk and Papa was born in a tent, because that is really how you describe where Mama and Papa came from, because I need everyone to know she only refers to them as Mama and Papa in the entire book. And she does say out the gate, Mama was born in a trunk, Papa was born in a tent. And these are very important distinctions, okay?
Very, very important distinctions. It's fascinating to me. I think all of that old vaudeville stuff is really interesting. And
it is.
Also, it's also really interesting. This book is interesting for so many reasons, but one is to look back and see how studios and films used to be made differently, because basically Judy Garland was just like the in-house star at MGM, and they were just pumping out films, and they were filming them on sound stages. So Liza Minnelli and Vincent Minnelli is a director-producer guy who's also just pumping out MGM films.
Yes.
He and Judy Garland met on a set of a film. She, of course, was a child star, from Wizard of Oz and everything.
Full of drugs, and she was as she's pumping them out, they're pumping them into her. They're trying to keep her going. They're keeping her up. They're keeping her down. They're keeping her. No matter what, she is moving. She is singing, and they're like, keep her on the set.
Yeah. And so we really get, from Liza's point of view, the first 5 years of her life is that, like, chapter 1, the theme is golden child in an industry town. She's like, my mama's famous, my daddy's famous, and everyone around me's famous. But in like a sweet way, she's just like, all the parents woke up and went to the MGM studios every morning, and then we all came home to the block where, like, we lived next to Humphrey Bogart, and we would just, like, have parties and play piano at night. It sounds fucking awesome.
It sounded amazing, MJ, because you're right, she's among all of these stars she doesn't know, but it is sad. This is around the time that she's talking about her longest friend ever was Mia Farrow. They're all growing up together in this kind of idyllic way, or so they thought, but it is so sad that she's like, my golden years of my childhood, they lasted until she was 5.
They lasted until she was 5.
The golden years ended, was when she was 5 years old, because it's like everything that she talked about was like how wonderful and how almost wholesome it was. But it wasn't until, she had all that time to relax until she became the ripe old age of 5, when she kicked Mama in the head.
We'll get into the accidental kicking Mama in the head.
Yes.
But even before we get to that, which is like this moment where she's 5 and she just like accidentally gets too excited and sees this other side of Mama for the first time. Even before that, there's darkness under the golden, right? Because she talks about her 3 best friends as a kid. Candace Bergen, who of course is the child of Edgar Bergen, who was the puppeteer operator of Charlie McCarthy. And if you were at the 2019 Bell House live show of Page 7, we did get into the fact that Edgar Bergen had a closer relationship with his ventriloquist dummy than he did with his daughter. And he raised Candace Bergen, who went on to be Murphy Brown, no small chicken. She was basically siblings with Charlie McCarthy.
Murphy Brown, no small chicken. I mean, when you think Murphy Brown, you think big fuck cluck. And I tell you can't keep her down.
Her brother was a ventriloquist dummy, Jackie. Do you remember the photographs? They posed for family photos with her and the dummy. And Liza said, Dad may have been closer to the dummy than Candy. And I think we know that's true.
We do know that to be true.
Friend number 2 is Mia Farrow. Friend number 3's mother was killed by her boyfriend, which is Lana Turner. So yes, many tragedies.
But again, these tragedies, she just sprinkles in like little extra details,
background
just background noise that she just puts into places. Also, forgive me, MJ, I feel like we didn't let you gush properly, because I was talking about how like my mom loved Judy Garland so much. My mom also was really obsessed with, it's like why we were obsessed with Wicked, why we were obsessed with Wizard of Oz and all of that, because of because my grandfather worked for Pan Am. He was the vice president of Pan Am. And he also became the vice president of Pepsi, which was around the time that Joan Crawford became the president of Pepsi. And he was working in Pepsi, and he knew a lot of the stars. So my mom got to meet Judy Garland at one of those shows that she talks about, that Liza Minnelli talks about in the book, because essentially Judy Garland had ruined. They were living so lavishly and not able to make the money to keep it up. So she had to be on the road. So we're talking like she went from child star, but then in her like 30s and 40s, she was forced to be bedraggled out on the road because MGM lets them go. And so she's in these like pill in drug, like it's like drug and booze fueled shows. And my mom met Judy Garland backstage of one of those shows when my mom was in high school.
Wow.
And it's part of the reason why my mom never got into drugs or my mom's never been drunk or anything like that, was because of how Judy Garland could barely stand and how she could barely speak. And she was so, like, my mom specifically remembers being like so upset by seeing her idol like this that it made her never want to go down that road.
Wow.
And it made me think of like all of these conversations, which is why I immediately told my mom to listen to the Liza Minnelli audiobook, because as you know, my mom also was a child from addicts, and also, you know, a lot of that generation was a lot of screwed up things that a lot of people didn't talk about, you know what I mean? And so I was like, read this, because Liza talks so much about being the child of an addict, of someone with a substance abuse disorder, and watching her mother go through that. And she even talks about that eventually when she takes her first pill of Valium at her mother's funeral.
At her mother's funeral, yeah. And she talks about substance use. She says, even in the prologue, she's like, nobody had ever heard of substance use disorder. We didn't have this phrase, we didn't have, and we also didn't know that it was genetic, and that this was something that my mom likely inherited from her mom, who also struggled, and that I inherited it from my mom. And she's like, now one of the things she begins the book by saying is like lamenting that now we are able to view like these problems with some compassion and some empathy, and a less of a purely moral judgment, more of like seeing this is also a medical issue. But she says back then it was just a moral failing of Judy Garland,
yet they used it to sell tickets, which is crazy to think of the PR back then, that literally Judy Garland was like, this is good, it sells tickets. They know that I'm desperate. They know that I need them. They want to be needed. And
it's also, I think it's sad. I mean, there's so many sad things about Judy Garland's life, but one of the sad things is how her life is reduced to her addiction too, because all this stuff that Liza kind of gets into. She was an activist. She was like this lifelong proud Democrat. She wants to like speak about the assassination of JFK on television.
She sang after the assassination of JFK, and everyone was like, don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. And then she does. And it's like, these are huge moments in history.
Totally. That she was such an interesting and compelling, important cultural figure for so many reasons, but she ultimately, her life was in many ways defined by her substance use. And yeah, for me, the gush is that real heads know that I spent years being so hyper-focused on Gene Kelly that I don't even know how to explain it. I was in third grade. I'm reading his biography. I'm watching every film he's ever been in.
Well, you have also explained, too, that this has been a part of your gender exploration journey as well, right? That's part of what, like, kind of drew you to Gene Kelly and tap dancing and, like, the dandy man overall.
Yes, I kind of didn't know that you could be trans, and so as a kid, I thought, well, I'll just time travel to a different era in history and imagine being somebody completely different. And so that was why I fell in love with like the tap dancing leading man, because I was like, well, I can't pretend to be like a boy in 1996, so I'll pretend to be a boy in 1952, because even though that's weirder, somehow it's less upsetting to people.
But also, it's weird, not in that same capacity at all, but I remember specifically the only thing I ever really knew about Liza and what I loved about Liza was that she dated as many gay men as I dated, and I loved that. And I was just like, I like calls to like that was one of the, and I'm like, she's a huge, monumentous figure of theater, as well as, man, she just was ripping through those gay men.
Very gay men love her, and she loves gay men, and she gets into it a lot.
Same.
She talks about it a lot, and so yeah, her in chapter 1, she's laying this roadmap for like. She calls Ira Gershwin Uncle Ira. She calls Frank Sinatra
like, this is
Uncle
crazy.
Frank.
Uncle Frank, it's like
Humphrey
this is
Bogart,
crazy.
Next door neighbor, and so she knows that she loves to sing. She knows she loves to dance, and yeah, right. She They go trick or treating in the neighborhood, and it's all movie stars. My favorite anecdote from chapter 1 is she trick or treats at Gene Kelly's door, and I don't even remember what she's dressed up as, but he pretends to be so scared. He opens the door and he sees her, and he like does like a huge pratfall backwards onto the floor because he's and she's just so it's like this magical movie star child life
until she was 5 years old, and then the magic stopped.
And then the whole, like, her whole relationship with this, like, I have 2 loving parents, I live in this community of stars, is literally shattered this one night where she is just an excited kid. She's wearing cowboy boots because she was into, I don't even remember what it was, Howdy Doody or some cowboy show that's on TV. She's jumping up and down with her boots on, and she keeps saying that she kicks Mama in the face.
Mama in the head, MJ.
I think it might have just been that her
head, MJ.
I think it was just that her boot went flying and kicked her and hit her.
It was an accident. It was
what are these things?
Just an accident. But this was
they happen when you're 5.
It was the first time her mother completely. That she, in her memory, because also you think too, MJ, I'm sure Judy Garland had snapped at her before. This was just the first time she remembered it.
Yes.
And it was such where I think that unfortunately, many of us have been in a situation like this when you're dealing with someone with, either substance abuse issues or mental health issues, that she knew that the way she was screamed at was not befitting the crime that had occurred. Like, she knew at the age of 5 that the way she was being treated was not appropriate. And because this is like also after, I wrote down specifically when she was 4, so like the year before, she was talking about singing Love for Sale by Cole Porter in a dress that she was put out in front of everybody because all of the celebrities were having a celebrity, I'm going to guess a key party, right? Because it does seem like a lot of them were all banging each other, right? They're all doing drugs and all banging each other.
The type of party you see in old movies when there's like, someone's like, I'll play a few tunes on the piano.
And
like,
they bring out the child. Yes, exactly.
They bring out the child to sing.
Sing. And I feel like Liza brings up this memory because it seems like the last time she sang where her mother wasn't competing against her was at the age of 4. And because I feel like that was the only moment she described singing in front of her mother and enjoying it. That was it.
It is so, she talks right out the gate. She's like, I know that everybody has this idea of my mother, and people must also have an idea of what it's like for me to have had my mother as a mother. And she says, Mama loved me passionately, and to this day, I love her just as much.
Mama loved me passionately.
To this day, I love her just as much. To this day, I can close my eyes and hear her laugh. But then she also uses the phrase, we had moments of great love and stinging critique. And that does go on.
Critique.
Where Judy Garland is Liza Minnelli's biggest cheerleader. At the same time, she is her biggest competitor and critic. And so from 5, when Liza sees, Mama is really unpredictable, and this is really, really unstable. Now, mind you, she doesn't even really get into this, but I went back and looked at Judy Garland's biography, and even from ages 0 to 5, so Liza's born in 1946, and 1951, she's 5, and in that period, Judy Garland is hospitalized at least twice, one of which is obviously for postpartum depression, which Liza does talk about and says we didn't have the words for that. We didn't have
those words, right.
But she attempts suicide shortly after giving birth to Liza. And so even, like you said, even in that time, in Liza's early childhood, it's tumultuous, but that's the time that her mom and dad are together. And that's really, I think, what gives Liza this cocoon of safety, because shortly after, in her middle childhood, is when when Judy and Vincent separate, and that's when all hell breaks loose.
Well, that's the thing, is that she immediately, Judy Garland immediately starts dating Papa Sid, and Liza finds out that her mother marries Papa Sid on television. So at a young age, this is when this was the first of the huge monumental things that have happened to Liza Minnelli that she has found out about on television. She has found out, there are multiple times that she found out that her or thought her mother had taken her own life via television, times when she had OD'd and stuff like that she hears about via the television. So this is the beginning. So she finds out that she marries Papa Sid, and Papa Sid is the father of Liza's two other siblings.
The
correct?
Other two siblings, right? Yeah, they're together for a while. They have 2 more kids. But Judy,
this is around the time too when she found out the first time that according to Liza, the first time, quote unquote, her mom tried to take her own life. She tried to slice her own neck.
Yeah.
This is the thing, guys. The way in which, Judy wasn't just swallowing pill. She needed a lot of help. She tried to slice her own neck.
And she's also in this kind of unpredictable combination of pills that nobody understands, because she's prescribed a bunch of sleeping pills, and she's doing barbiturates, but also she's an alcoholic. And yeah, she marries this guy Sid, and nobody likes Sid, and she's like, Liza, call Sid Papa, and Liza's like, I don't want to call Sid Papa, and
because she loves her Papa.
She loves her Papa.
Does she love her Papa? She doesn't want to call him Papa Sid.
And because it's the 50s, he's not exactly parenting her. The extremely unwell mother is still left to do most of the parenting. But you know who else is parenting her? Fucking Gene Kelly and Frank Sinatra. Gene Kelly invites 13-year-old Liza Minnelli on TV to sing For Me and My Gal with him, which is the movie that he did with her mom. So they have this sweet little special because he's trying to build her up and give her these opportunities. Frank Sinatra.
Never compare yourself to Mama. You never compare yourself to Mama, MJ.
Frank Sinatra is offering, as she gets to be a little bit of an older teenager, but still very young, 17. Frank Sinatra's I'll pay for you.
Enough, MJ. At 13, that sounds to be old enough to play my love interest on the television, I would say.
Frank Sinatra is offering to bankroll her to basically move to New York and start a new life. Also, this quote about her relationship, about Judy Garland's relationship with Frank, Mama's great love. During the time my parents were married, I eventually figured out there was much more between Frank and Mama than friendship. Much more. One of her greatest loves, if not the greatest love of her life. And you know, what alternate timeline would we be in? I don't think it would have ended better. I don't think it would have ended better.
I think it would have been real bad, MJ.
Probably worse.
I did write down, because at one point right before this, Liza was talking about how funny Mama was and how nobody knew how she was just the funniest woman and she had the craziest one-liners. And
I
there
believe
was
that.
a mean boy at school that was being mean to Liza, and Judy told her to say, "You tell him my mother can get thin anytime she wants to, but your mother couldn't get talent if she took 20 years of private lessons from Laurence Olivier." And then she said,
Extremely
"It
specific."
killed. And I don't think it did. I don't think that's I don't hear that come back and go like, whoa, I better never be mean to Liza ever again. You couldn't get talent if she took 20 years of private lessons from Laurence Olivier.
It's a verbose comeback. I do like to imagine that all the 10-year-olds in 1954, though, were like, ooh,
whoa, 20 years of lessons.
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
Garland is not up for the task of parenting Liza.
I just imagine MJ Liza trying to be like, look at how funny she is, boys. Look at how funny she is. And she's just like, like I just... And that's horrible. That's horrible to say. But I just rather
that is one of the defining aspects of this book is that Liza Minnelli is fiercely defensive of Judy Garland. She does not want to say anything bad about her.
No, she is not. She would never make these jokes. Ever, never.
Completely devoted to her, while also being pretty clear-headed about what a difficult parent she was. And I actually think that that's a very difficult balance to strike. She's like, I am devoted to my mother. I will always love her. I miss her desperately.
Of course.
And also, she had a lot of really serious problems that really messed me up in a huge way.
So sad, though, that in the beginning of the book, as she's talking about Judy Garland, that she just says sadly, "Oh, I wish I could have saved her." And that is so sad. Because at 13, she says, "I became my mother's caretaker."
Right.
So while all this stuff with Gene Kelly is happening, she is being given an opportunity at the age of 13 to go on the road with Gene Kelly. But she's also her mother's caretaker. And she knows that if she's not around, because she's the oldest daughter, and also think of like, for my oldest, daughter specifically out there, of the weight she had on her, that she was like, I can't just go be a star. And I think that this is part of what the processes of what truly screwed her up, was that she felt like, because her mother was struggling at this time, not only with the substances, but also with her career, that she simultaneously thought, oh, I can become a star alongside Mama. And me and
but never
Mama
on my
can
own.
become stars.
Yeah.
But Judy never would have really wanted that. She'll use her as a stepping stone, but
she'll use her as a
Liza
prop.
would never say that she was used as a stepping stone.
Oh my God, the moment where, like you said, Judy brings Liza and the two younger kids on the road as she's doing road shows to make money. And there's a moment in Vegas, I think, that she's doing like a pretty big show. And she's just like, Judy's just like not feeling well, and she's like, doesn't want to sing. And this is when Liza is, I think, 15 and like a young teenager. And she just goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, Liza Minnelli." And she just steps off the stage and leaves Liza up there to sing.
Her up there.
But
just
not even like guys, everybody, look at my daughter. It's more just like I'm tapping out, you tap in.
Just bring her, just have her fucking sing it. I don't know, have her sing it.
Because as you say, not only is Liza's teenagerhood coinciding with the decline of Judy in terms of her mental health and her substance use, it's also the decline of her career. As she gets divorced from Vincent, she's dropped by MGM, and so her career is absolutely tanking right at a time that Liza can feel fully responsible is rising.
And it is so, like, especially because Judy is just like it's just loss after loss after loss for her at this point.
Yeah.
And even Liza Minnelli says at this point, around this time, and this is in her mid-teendom, she said acting was her safe haven because singing in front of her mother was too stressful. She dreaded her criticism. She was being so harsh on her. And yet, like you said, MJ, leaving her on stage at the age of 15. So meanwhile, like, leaving you to your own devices, but not explaining to you that, like, you are strong enough and, like, giving you the confidence and the support to be able to lean on yourself, that she essentially was giving her, unbeknownst to her, the need to lean on drugs and men and other people because she was never taught how to rely on herself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Judy wants to use Liza to whatever extent it will benefit her, but she is totally terrified of the fact that Liza is young and talented. And yeah, Liza kind of identifies as a singer first and foremost. She has a very similar voice to her mom. Her mom is also a singer and a dancer. Liza is learning to dance, learning to sing, but is completely held in this cage by her mom. Even her access to singing lessons is determined by whether her mom will let her get singing lessons.
Yes.
And so, like, she desperately wants to just get out of there. Not only is she taking care of her mom, she's also responsible for the two little kids, but she just wants to get out of the Hollywood, because also she feels like Hollywood betrayed her mom. Her mom was like the MGM in-house star for decades, and then she just gets dropped because A Star Is Born tanked because she kept getting
flopped.
Well, it actually...
Now, MJ, have you seen? We were talking about this. I've never seen that A Star Is Born. I've never seen the Judy Garland version.
I haven't seen it either, and we were saying we should do a triplet, but even the 1954 A Star Is Born is a remake, so we have to do a quadrit. But so it was actually, people thought it was a good movie, but it lost money. But that was kind of supposed to be her big comeback, and the problem was Judy Garland was too messed up to go to the set, so she just kept like trying to be like, I'm Judy Garland, and everybody still was like, you're Judy Garland.
My hands are made out of sand. That's apparently what Bill Hader said. I forgot that he. Oh God, who was it? The one from Skeleton Twins. What's her name? Kristen Wiig. When he first was introduced to Kristen Wiig, someone said, "Oh, she does a great Judy Garland," and Kristen Wiig walks up to Bill Hader and she just went, "My hands are made out of sand." And I think about that every time I think about Judy Garland. My hands are made out of sand.
It's like, and it's crazy too, because this is, I mean, certainly we have contemporary examples of this, but Judy is like, remains extremely household name famous, but just while she's completely publicly declining.
And she has no money. And she has everywhere no money. They go, like when she's on tour, they had made such a name out of getting into a hotel and then trying to like leave the hotel without paying, and that people would stop inviting Judy Garland couldn't stay at any hotels anymore because they knew that she would bump out without paying the bill. And then that's Liza what she was known for. Like, isn't that so crazy? A Hollywood darling, and that's what she ended up being known for in the end, was her pills and not paying the bill of her hotels.
To the extent, too, that Liza claims to have gone back and tried to repay some of those hotel bills because they skipped out on so many bills.
And because she doesn't want anyone to think bad about Mama, like she would go back and fix it. Now, this is
cleaning
around
up Mama's mess. Classic child of an addict behavior is to go back and clean up your parents' mess.
And it's devastating to see.
Yeah.
Now, this is around the time period so Judy Garland is floundering, right? Liza Minnelli, her star is starting to rise. Forgive me if I'm going too fast, MJ, but I wanted to kind of get us into best foot forward because
Yeah,
now
get us into New York City.
we're going to New York City, baby. Because I gotta go to the city.
Like Matt Berry too. I feel like she's like I had to get out of Hollywood and go to New York City.
Yes, baby. Get your heels up, everybody. Get your heels up. We're going ourselves to New York City. Because we're not just going to be a West Coast baby overall, all right? Because the West Coast is for the screen, and I'm ready to be a star of the stage, baby. Get me to Broadway, baby.
Also, it makes sense in so many ways that she wants to do the stage because, one, she wants to do it different. Her mother was a film star, even though she started as a stage star.
I'm a stage star.
But also, she spent her formative years going on the road with her mom doing stage shows. So in a way, that is what is comfortable for her, but also it's a way for her to distinguish herself from her mom. So again, bankrolled by Frank Sinatra, although I think she gave the money back, but Frank Sinatra's like, buddy, you got to get away from your mom.
You got to get away from her. You got to get away from her. Which, thank
Move
God,
to New York.
Somebody was looking at her, but she said that there were multiple, like, angels that Liza Minnelli had among her time of like, she has openly said like, thank God for this person or else I probably wouldn't be here right now. Like she was given like other people, the way in which that like, I feel like maybe this is too personal, but thinking about having a mother that had a mother that was very mentally unwell and no one could help, like no one could look in and help, that I'm so happy that Liza Minnelli did have some people that were like, hey kid, you really gotta, like, you're very talented, you gotta get out of here. And
it was people who loved Judy, which is also sad. Like Frank Sinatra loved Judy, Ira Gershwin loved Judy, Gene Kelly loved Judy.
That she couldn't do this. They knew that Liza needed help.
Right.
And it is actually, it's beautiful to think of the community, at least. And you think of like the theater community, you think of like, Hollywood, you think that back then it was because the community was so much smaller, they were able to take care of each other, but they also were able to hide a bunch of stuff because of how insular everything was. So while it helped in many ways, it also was a curse,
Yeah, but she starts off strong. She gets to Broadway and she's auditioning. Best foot forward. She gets best foot forward.
But the problem is this is the time period when Judy Garland starts the Judy Garland Show. This is when she creates her own production company because she is given the opportunity. Everybody says the Judy Garland Show is going to be it. This is what's going to like bring you back. Everybody's going to be on the show. Everyone's coming to do it. Or like Liza's going to do it. We're all going to do it. And Liza's like, whoa. I'm going to do it? I'm on Broadway.
I just got booked in a show. And in fact, before Judy Garland comes in swinging with, you have to come help me do my show, as Liza has opening night for Best Foot Forward, she saves 4 seats for Mama, Sid, and her siblings.
She saved the seats for Mama, MJ. Oh, does she save the seats for Mama? Oh, but does Mama show up, MJ? Does Mama show up for the show, MJ? Does she show up for the show, MJ?
She does not. She does not show up for the show.
She
Those
saved 4 seats for Mama in the front of the show. She didn't show up for the show, MJ, because
empty.
She thought it was a different night.
She thought it was a different night.
She thought it was a different night.
Sorry, darling. I thought it was the next night. She's super nonchalant. She doesn't even really apologize.
Opening night on Broadway,
Mama can't do it. And this is the ways that Mama starts. Liza is now old enough to see like the ways that Mama is actually like really, really making it about herself. There's a scene later where after one of Liza's other opening nights that Mama did come to, there's then the cast party and Mama comes into the cast party.
Mama comes into the cast party.
Goes right to the piano and is like, shall I sing?
Shall I? And it's like, which is better, MJ?
Over.
Is it better if Mama doesn't show up or is it better if Mama takes over the cast party?
Literally, as she was describing this scene of Mama completely taking over the cast party, she's like, well, at least she didn't make a scene in the theater. Like, that was how low the standards were.
All she could think was, at least she didn't destroy my performance, because she could have. Because that is something that Judy Garland would have done.
would have done. And so, right. So
and you will
just
see
as
she does do later on.
when we talk about the London Palladium.
Oh my
But
God, when we
first-
talk about the London Palladium. But we do need to talk about the fact that, all right, so Judy Garland, this is important. She created her own production company to make the Judy Garland show, just like the Desilu production company, which Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball, because they were also obviously friends of Judy Garland. And
that was another contemporary partnership where Lucille Ball ends up being this really important mother figure for Liza throughout her life too.
In fact, Lucille was the one that had said originally that Judy was even funnier than she was, which I think is,
generous.
I think it's generous. But so she is putting everything that she has into this show, and she needs this show to hit. And not only does she, but it's like, okay, you need all this, you need the show to hit, Judy. You should really be focused on this. But what is she focused on instead? Instead, she's inviting, at the time, Liza Minnelli is dating this dancer named Tracy Everett, right? Judy Garland was so upset because while this is all happening, she wants Liza to be on the show. She wants her to be on the show. And Liza's like, Mama, I'm on Broadway. I can't do the show. Best Foot Forward is doing so well. I cannot leave it to go do your show. So what does she do? She hires her boyfriend, Tracy Everett, who is a dancer, to come and do the show instead, to make her to force her back as a way of to also just to dangle him in front of her to be like, but I own you. I own everything else that you do.
He's a dancer. I'm Judy Garland. I'll just invite your your rising star, aspirationally famous dancer boyfriend to be on my show, the Judy Garland Show. And of course he'll say yes. And he did. And this is the first time she basically tries to sabotage Liza's career to get her back to her, because Liza does end up coming back, working for the show a little bit, and then she gets booked for a regional show, and she's like, Mama, great job.
I gotta go,
the show
Mama.
off.
Mama, I gotta go.
She's like, you got the show off on its feet. This is going to be great. Best wishes to you. Now I'm going to go do this regional show on the East Coast that I was booked for. And Judy is like, oh, no, you're not. And Judy calls the directors of this regional show. It's like a Cape Cod community theater, not a community theater, but, like a regional theater across the country. And she's like, Liza can't do it.
Liza can't do it.
She can't do. She's going to say she can, but you have to fire her because she can't do it.
Mama, stop calling my directors, Mama. Let me just be on stage. Mama, let me kick. Mama, let me kick.
And to Liza's credit, she's like, I'm doing it. And so she does branch off. This whole section with the Judy Garland Show, was it giving you flashbacks to the Joan Rivers show? Even though I know timeline.
Yes.
We're in a different era. But
Liza even says it's straight out of Gypsy. She said her needs were more important than my feelings. That is something that was always demonstrated to her. Her needs were way more important than Liza's feelings or needs or wants or anything. Judy came first. And it's crazy how I just hope Liza has processed this. Like, I hope she has worked on this, and I don't know if she has, because I don't know if she would have her mother up on the same pedestal if she really was processing, or maybe she was able to completely separate the fact that, like, Judy Garland as a facet, like as an icon, it was separate than Mama. But at the same time, everything she's talking about, Mama's the one that is doing this, and it's not Judy that's doing it.
She's pretty clear-eyed about it. The reason that the Judy Garland Show ends up reminding me of the Joan Rivers Show, even though we're in different eras, is because similarly, Judy Garland is like, my entire career is writing on this. And it's similarly.
Well, she'd have to go back out on the road, and no one would take her anymore.
But she has all these great connections in Hollywood. She's very creative and very talented. And so all these great people are like, yeah, I'll do your show. And she ends up creating like a really fun, interesting
show.
fun variety show for television.
I looked up Liza and Tracy because Liza and Tracy Everett did this like steamy dance to the pajama game, and I watched that. Not the pajama gang, but I watched that because Liza was talking about how steamy and how I wanted to see, was it actually steamy? It was.
Well, that's good. Although I think that she was still well under 18 at this point.
Yeah, no. I need everyone to understand everything we're talking about right now. She is still a minor. She is not even 18 years old yet. And she's doing all of this, dealing with all of this. Crazy.
She is so young, but Judy, unfortunately, Judy is just in a situation where everything she touches is kind of a disaster. And so she's being blackmailed by the producer of the television show. They're kind of sleeping together, but also he's blackmailing her. He ends up like having a huge crash out in his own way, but yada, yada, yada. The Judy Garland show does not survive.
Honestly, have you guys heard of it? No.
Yeah.
Apparently the first season is fire, though. Like, apparently.
Oh, but it's fantastic.
It's gotta be,
It's gotta be. And yeah, it is like, it's a fun idea. And one of the, so it was pioneering, it was interesting, it was controversial. And one of the moments is that it was during, it must have been 1964 when JFK was killed. And so Judy Garland is like, I want to sing Battle Hymn of the Republic and like speak
of the Republic.
Which I can't be like, I don't understand that choice, but okay. But she and all the network executives are like, totally. It's just a song that I associate with the Civil War, so I don't understand why she wanted to sing it for JFK's assassination. But
because that's what Judy decided, MJ.
If there's something I'm missing there, please let me know, because I've spent a lot of time thinking, why Battle Hymn of the Republic?
Why Battle Hymn of the Republic? Especially because of the recall at her funeral.
Right. Yes. They bring it back. They like
bring
true showbiz people. They do a callback
one more time.
The executives are like, don't do it. We don't want to talk about JFK's assassination on TV because it's too depressing. And Judy Garland's like, too fucking bad. It's a huge.
This is a national.
And so it's by rights. It sounds like it was how Liza describes it, that it was a great project. And once again, she loves her mother. She loves her mother's creativity and her vision. And but the show doesn't survive. But what the kind of end result of all of this is that Mama and Judy end up doing this big co-headlining show at the London Palladium.
Babes. Oh, we gotta make it to the stage at the London Palladium. She is 18 years old. Now, this is also right after she had found out, quote unquote, found out that her mother had been passed, that her mother was found dead via publicity. But then also they found out, no, actually it was just another OD. It's fine. Everything's fine. And then she's like, okay, great. So I got to get to the Palladium. It is crazy that at that point, she's 18 years old, that another hearing of like her mother, where she was like, oh God, Mama's got. Oh, okay, no, she's just OD'd. All right, I'll get to the London Palladium. Someone get me to the London Palladium, That's
right. She thinks her mother has died before she's about to do a show with her mother, and then she's like, surprise, she's okay. And so they go to do it.
This is the first shared billing show that they have. This is at the London Palladium. This is huge. Judy Garland, because the show goes under, Judy is at her bottom. She goes to Liza and says, I'll only do my comeback with you, which is not fair. It's not okay to do, because obviously, Liza, babe, she's coming to you because she has nothing and she needs you to pull her out of the trash dumpster that she has found herself in. Because also, since she had made the production company, all of her money was really gone. So she was at the bottom of her barrel, which is, of course, unfortunately, probably why we had just heard about another instance of her hurting herself, I would assume. And so she knew she was at the bottom of the barrel, and Liza ends up telling the press that she was doing it because she had no choice. It's kind of like, I gotta do this. Mama wants me to perform, and I'm gonna perform with Mama.
Because mind you, outside of the Judy Garland show, not only is Liza getting booked on Broadway, but she's also getting booked by like Jack Parr. Agents in New York are wanting to represent her.
Everywhere right now. She's hot. And
she's hot. Yeah.
It's so sad that she literally says, I went on stage, my mama's daughter, and ended the show on stage with Judy Garland.
I was going to say, let's read this quote. 1 minute she smiled at me, and the next minute she was like the lioness that owned the stage and suddenly found someone invading her territory. Ooh. The killer instinct of a performer had come out in her. And she has this whole rumination on like, every mother and daughter will one day have a moment where they're competing. And in my head, I'm like, I've never competed with my mother. My mother's never competed with me.
And especially loyally, like we've never competed. And maybe that's like I have like thanks of like my mom and I are not like very close in age, so I don't know if that's part of it, but no, we never had any of that.
Yeah, that is one thing. Judy was very young when she had Liza, but yeah, like she just.
But I also
Liza
look a lot like my mom too. Like it's one of those things too where I feel like it's like Judy must have like she's looking at her daughter who is beautiful, who is talented, who is starting from the beginning, who is not put under the pressure she was put under when she was a child, and so she sees all of this opportunity from Liza. And that is so sad because that's not why you're supposed to have children, is to like make more opportunities for yourself.
And she also, I think, just sees competition. And so it's like, basically, I would love to watch a video of this performance because Liza's like, you can see the tension between us on the playback. Like they are technically joint headlining, like singing together, doing a show. But she was like, it was low key. We were fiercely like going at each other. It was like the tensest moment they had as mother and daughter fighting for the attention, but it's a great show. Obviously, a great show, well received.
Historic
big success.
Too. Everyone talks about the London Palladium show, and it's so crazy that they were just fighting for the spotlight the entire time. And that line just hit me so hard because I just kept thinking, when is she going to see her as Judy Garland and not Mama? And this was it. It was on stage at the London Palladium is when she's like, oh, that's not Mama, that's Judy Garland.
Yeah, and mind you, she is 17. Liza is 17, still a minor, but also this is when she's kind of realized. I think the London Palladium moment is when she realizes like, I have to separate myself from Mama. Mama will never let me share this. She will never let me share this with her. It will always be a competition. And so I just have to go do my own thing. And so in 1963 is when she also meets Peter Allen, who's kind of a fun
first gay
singer.
Husband. First gay husband. Oh, you're talking about my first gay husband. Peter Allen. They were safe in each other's arms, MJ. They were safe in each other's arms. It is also, this whole story is very safe because I shouldn't say first gay husband. First bisexual husband, but they didn't have the word for bisexual back then. It really it just didn't exist. They didn't. That wasn't a part of the language yet.
They love each other. They do have, she says, we had a great sexual chemistry. We had a lot of sex.
They truly loved each other. They loved each other. But did she walk in on Peter banging a man in their marital bed? Yes.
And she this is so sad for so many reasons, but she says that one of the reasons that she's bonded with Peter is that Peter also had a really tumultuous childhood, and they set out she's a baby, she's 17, but they set out to create this very stable home. And she is confused by the stability because she's never had it. One of the quotes I wrote down from this section is, as a child, I'd wake up every day and brace myself for life with Mama. And so she's finding herself waking up and being like, this is such a loving, stable relationship. I've never had this. Meanwhile, Judy Garland has moved to New York like the barnacle she is on Liza with the two younger kids.
With the kids.
her relationship with Sid is so violent that the younger kids are running over to Peter and Liza's
to
apartment.
stay at her place, so she's taking care of them all the time. Meanwhile, again, she's 18 years old.
So her and Peter are kind of playing house. Yeah, they're basically raising her two younger siblings. But
also it was beautiful when she walks in on him having sex with another man in their marital bed. She even says he wasn't broken. He was being honest. And how could she blame him for that? Like she never hated him for his bisexuality. She understood that it's just who he was, and she loved every part of him.
Despite my heartbreak, I instantly understood this was something Peter could not change. I know she really, this section it's like she walks in, he's having sex with another man. She is completely gut punched. And then, she's really confused because she doesn't understand that you can be bi. And interestingly enough, this comes up a few years later in Cabaret. But
I will also throw it out there that it is funny that but it has changed that you can also be bisexual and be monogamous. I do feel like there is also, you can also choose to be monogamous regardless of being bisexual, but I do feel that was just too much. It's no way could you do that. You know what I mean?
And the way that he explained it, he said, Liza, I love you more than anyone in the world, and I'm gay. And I think that for him, it was this is a part of myself that I can't
deny.
Even if I'm bi, I just can't.
I cannot deny it.
This is a part of me.
And for some people, that is how it is. I'm just throwing it out there that it is a little funny of that is the antiquated thought of well, if you're bisexual, there's no way you can just choose one forever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There is, we've grown since then, but I also understand not denying yourself in a time period when you're but this is who I am.
Yeah, this is a part of me. And so they decide basically to stay married because they do love each other so much. And he's like, I love you and I like having sex with you. I just also do need to have sex with men. It is just something about me. And I'm sorry. And Liza has a very funny quote where she says, I married Peter and he didn't tell me he was gay. Everyone knew but me. And I found out. Well, let me put it this way. I'll never surprise anyone coming home as long as I live. I call first.
And then she said she made that joke, and then she's like, I also do apologize to the LGBTQIA. It's she does apologize for making a joke about the situation, but also is Liza girl, you had to make a joke. It's okay. You can make a joke about calling first before it's okay.
I don't think the punchline of that joke is that he was gay. It's just that she walked in on someone having sex and she wasn't
in her marital bed. Yeah, no matter what, you call first.
Her husband was having sex with someone else in her marital bed, and so many moments before, these moments of intense trauma, that she is really traumatized by this. She's devastated. She totally thought she was going to have this stable life and stable marriage that she didn't have as a child, especially because Peter and her had such a relationship talking about all of the stuff they had gone through as children. And so she said, she's so grateful for their marriage and the time they had together. She said, he helped me understand and come to terms with my childhood. She admired him as an artist. They did have this very beautiful relationship. Yeah, and then she gets a call from Mama, who invites her to a wedding to a man named Mickey Deans, which I think is husband number 5 for Judy.
Mama's getting married again, huh?
And you know what she said to Mama? She said, I can't make this wedding, but I promise I'll come to the next one.
I'll make it to the next one, Mama.
That's good. That's a good one, Liza. But that was the last time they ever spoke.
It was the last one. It was the last time. It was the last time they ever spoke. Of her telling her that she wasn't going to go to her wedding, another wedding.
She'll
it is crazy. Judy, she dies at 47.
She was only 47 and Liza was only 23. Babies, both of them babies.
And this was during the first, so this is while Liza's star is crazy rising. She's killing it on Broadway. She's killing it on the club, nightclubs,
right.
Cabaret, singing night scene.
She's doing burlesque.
She's also in the in the sterile cuckoo. The sterile cuckoo. And that is what she was shooting, where she gets her first Oscar nomination. And that is what she was shooting with Albert Finney. And what I do love is that Albert Finney to Liza on her first dramatic, because this is her first dramatic movie role. And for those of us that have done theater, you know that theater acting is very different than screen acting. And I'm assuming back then, they didn't have the same kind of classes that we would take. Like, you know, for stage acting, obviously it's much bigger. Everything is big. It is Liza to a T. And essentially, Albert Finney says to her, because she had only done musicals up until then, he said, tone it down, love. Do half of what you're doing. And that is literally what all screen acting film classes are. Like, it's like all film acting classes are, do a lot less. You gotta take it all down. Why do you think I'm not on a lot of dramatic movie roles? You know why? I got a face for theater. You know what I mean? Oh, me? Looking at me right now? Who, me? A face for theater? Yes, a whole lifestyle for theater. But this was her getting into her, and then her first dramatic role, she gets an Academy Award nomination, and her mother doesn't get to see the movie or the fact that she was nominated for an Oscar. And when she was asked how she felt about her mother not knowing or seeing her first Oscar movie, she essentially was like, I'm not upset about it because my mother didn't care about my career.
Well, she starts the book by being like, the night that I won my first Tony, I called my mom and she immediately criticized me.
Criticized me.
Like, immediately. And so, yeah, I think she was probably like, I think it sounds like a very complicated thing when Judy died, because obviously Liza loved her, but also she was just, again, the book opens with her being like, I won my first Tony at 19. It was like the best moment of my life. Fred Ebb, who's one of the songwriters who she's working with, squeezes her hand so hard that her nails break off, her fake nails break off. And she's like so excited to call mama. And mama is just like,
I was like, I don't know who mom is. Hello.
And mama just immediately criticize,
just everything, but of course we now know too, and I'm assuming Liza knows, it's because it's like she was becoming everything that Judy wished that she could also be. And she's watching her daughter have her dreams coming true, and she can't stand it. And this is so much of which, I know that this is like an overarching generalization, but I feel like of that time period that raised the baby boomers, that they were trying to get them to like be something, do something, and in a way that I feel like, at least with my boomer mother, she learned and wanted us to do the opposite of like, live for you, don't live for me. I want you, because her mother was so like, you're gonna be everything I never could be, and all of that kind of rhetoric. And I'm so glad that we, or at least some of us, I can't speak for all of us, that like it was more of, at least for me, in a supportive manner of like, go do whatever you want to do. Go be whatever you want to be. Obviously, mama, look at me now.
Yeah. It really is like, the fact that Judy could never be happy for her feels like one of the great wounds that is still unhealed for Liza. Because she starts the book that way, and it comes up in every chapter basically. But yes, it's when Judy dies, it's like Vincent Minnelli doesn't want to come to the funeral because he doesn't want to deal with the paparazzi. So Liza's doing everything. She's 23.
It's all on her shoulders, because literally it was Peter that got the call from Mickey Dean, Judy Garland's latest husband, who was a hustler and a club promoter, was her drug dealer.
They met because he was her drug dealer,
essentially. Yeah. And he's the one, like, it's Mickey Deans that tells Peter and thusly Liza about Judy Garland's death. And but yeah, that he was the one that sold her pills, and she had fled the country with Mickey Deans prior to her death to London to get away from the IRS. And
that's why they were in London.
Yeah, because they were running from the IRS. And like that is such a sad and then right after her death, Mickey Deans makes a book deal about Judy Garland's death to
like
immediately capitalize on her death, to put out every detail of her final days like the piece of garbage that he is.
And Liza, again, so protective of her mom. And she's like, okay, yes, she did overdose on sleeping pills, but it was an accident. It was an accident.
She is convinced that she was an accident, and she didn't know
her capacity. She didn't know her tolerance. Like maybe she just accidentally took too much, and her body
was found
just
in the bath.
Yeah,
it's just I love that. That's what her brain is saying to protect herself. I do hope that she has. I don't think she has. She's in her 80s and she's saying this, so I'm assuming she's not processed this. It is.
She fully believes that her mom wanted to live, and that all of these were accidents. And this is all
a lot of accidents. Someone should have put, I don't know, like oven mitts on her hands or something. Maybe they really should have brought in those child safety locks on those bottles, I guess.
But it is worth also pointing out that Judy Garland did try over the years to get better. There's a scene where she goes with Vincent Minnelli to the East River and throws all of her pills in the East River. She's like, she wanted to stop. I think that it was a time where she did not have the support that she needed to stop. Right,
debilitating disease. Like she needed a lot of help that she was not getting.
Yeah, but this
I'm not
brings
saying
us
she chose it like in a willy-nilly. I'm saying that she she had a debilitating addiction and disease.
Yeah,
and it is so sad. And she even says the final, because she takes her first Valium at the day of her mother's funeral. She was like, the last gift from my mother was drug
substance
addiction.
use. Yes, that is so cinematic. She's like, I was so upset that the doctor also, what doctor is prescribing?
Why are you giving Liza Minnelli Valium? Do not give her any Valium. Guys, can we not?
Again, maybe we didn't know that it was biological then because the mom just died of substance.
No, they definitely didn't know it was biological. I mean, they're right. There's right? I'm assuming.
Why are you going to give Judy Garland's daughter Valium? And then from there on out, thus begins Liza's struggle with substance use, both Valium and also booze, because she's got a lot going on. She has made friends with Fred Ebb and John Kander, who turn out to be big boys, big fun singer-songwriter boys in the 1970s.
Oh, are they big boys, MJ?
1970s theater world. And so they are working with Bob Fosse, and they are coming up with a musical like no one's ever seen before. A musical that breaks the mold.
Does it?
What's so interesting about this is that her dad was like the architect of the classic musical. The For Me and My Gals, the everything Fred Astaire was ever in, everything Gene, the musical comedy romps that they just
made every single one of them.
That was Vincent Minnelli.
Which is crazy that we've been talking about Judy this much, but Vincent Minnelli also groundbreaking director, and what he brought to the world of musicals and so this is. I don't know if Liza was I'm not saying she's the first Nepo baby, because I feel like that goes to I don't know, a King Tutankhamun. But I feel like she was up there with one of the OG Nepo babies of
big Nepo. And just like a good Nepo, she's like, I have to prove myself by being very good. I have to be very good.
But also she's being groundbreaking, because her mother and father were both groundbreaking. And this, all of the work that goes into Cabaret is it is different than anything anyone has ever seen in a filmed musical ever before. And
this is really interesting. Jackie and I just watched Cabaret. And so she talks about this break basically from the musicals of yesteryear that her dad produced and that her mother starred in.
That were love and wholesome and big and tap dancing and sunshine and
And the characters themselves are singing. I'm breaking out into song.
In the middle of a conversation, they break out into song. This is not that. That is not what cabaret is. Also, highly recommend, if you have never seen cabaret, throw it on. Especially, man, nowadays, how prescient it is. Like, it really is the idea of when you are so wrapped up in your day-to-day life that when you look up, honestly, I think a lot of us are dealing with this nowadays. You look up and see the destruction of what is going on in your country, and you're like, oh my God, I've been wrapped up in my own brain this entire time. That's essentially what cabaret is.
It's great. It's also very interesting because Liza says this was kind of like what. Not only was it one of the first musicals that's like dark and seedy and sexual,
it's fussy.
It's very bisexual. Again, like her thing of like, I loved a man who I thought loved having sex with me, but he loved having sex with men. That dynamic immediately recreated in cabaret. But also, she says that in addition to like the kind of grittiness of cabaret that was so groundbreaking, she's like, it was also taking on these political themes, which I thought was interesting because Sound of Music is 1965. And obviously as a film, it was a stage show before, but like, I think was a stage show before, but Sound of Music just 7 years earlier, also about the rise of fascism, also a musical, but it is like cabaret does it in this very different way because cabaret, none of the characters are singing in their life. The cabaret, the act
they sing at the cabaret.
The cabaret itself is, as she describes it, the Greek chorus. So as this young, struggling artist, as Jackie described her, the original Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Truly.
Liza Minnelli as Sally Bowles.
Cabaret, she is the OG Manic Pixie Dream Girl. It's crazy.
So true. It is so, truer words never spoken. I never understood Liza Minnelli as much as I did when you said she's the original Manic Pixie Dream Girl, and then I put on the first few minutes of Cabaret, and she's wacky, and she's hot, and she's young, and she's crazy.
Hot. She's crazy.
She's unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen.
But she's so talented, and she's so mysterious, and it's just, she is everything. I mean, no wonder people were so drawn to her character because they'd never seen that before. Like, obviously, I had seen, full disclosure, I had seen Cabaret, the musical, multiple times, but I had never seen the movie. And this, I can't believe I've gone this far and been a theater person for this long and had never seen this movie because I always, like I said at the top of this show, I knew Liza, I know Lucille too, I know like the crazy Liza. I didn't know this like grounded, groundbreaking, unique character that like obviously
young, hot Liza.
It had already been on stage, so she wasn't creating this of her own accord, but also working with Joel Grey, who had already won the Tony for being the MC on Broadway, and like working with that scene and learning all of the Fosse movements, and even down to like everything she learned from Fosse, where like a tidbit, like one of her legs is longer than the other leg, and Fosse incorporated that into the way that she danced that only she could do. And I wouldn't have noticed that until now I was looking for it. And even like all of like the way in which she did like leg things, I could see how Fosse incorporated all of that. And Fosse, it's all in the choreography, it's all in how you hold yourself and in the different like poses and the very dramatic fashions that were, and yet even though it was such stylistic dancing, it's such a good dramatic movie. Like, it's also so good.
It's so cool. It really does. It's basically like, you know, this young artistic couple is figuring their life out in Germany while the rise of Nazism is happening in the background and is then reflected in the art being performed at the cabaret. Extremely cool, and very much like, even though like it's almost like I think Cabaret is you can't really separate it from Liza. And she says Cabaret, then because of Cabaret we get musicals like Chicago, like that more, you know, kind of like dark experimental format. We get like the more kind of like gritty musicals like a Sweeney Todd,
yes,
and like you know, like the also more political musicals.
It was the forefather of those musicals.
Hamilton, she says, you know, you can see in like the telling a historical story in a different way, like all of these. And again, I do note I get like Liza brain, like everything Liza says is from Liza's perspective. And so when Liza was like, it's the first musical to like take on the rise of fascism, I'm over here like, Sound of Music.
Of course, it's not, but it was like in this fashion though.
Totally.
Totally. In this
and
way.
It is it's a complete stylistic break from all of those. And it just happens to be very cool that it's a stylistic break from the musicals that her parents formed.
Yes.
It was them who did it.
That
and
created the standard, and she is the one that helped break the standard. And that's honestly, I think that's where we are going to end this episode today of her getting to this point, because I didn't even realize that her mom was already gone by the time Cabaret happened. Like, this is the first big thing for her after her mother's passing, which is, I mean, obviously huge, but this is also while her marriage to Peter crumbles and she gets a divorce in 1974, and it's all crumbling throughout all this Cabaret. And she does say there's no such thing as a happy divorce. So she wasn't having a blast during all this Cabaret stuff, but she also, so it's like you think about it, she's dealing with the death of her mother, or she's dealing with going through a whole, what was I made for? As she moves from stage to screen, while also like supporting but breaking down everything her parents had built. Like, this is huge. This is huge. What a transition of life for her. And she's only 23 years old?
And just to leave it here to show you how big Cabaret was, it was nominated in the same Oscar year as The Godfather.
And she still won Best Actress.
She won Best Actress the same year as The Godfather.
And she said the only reason why it didn't win Best Movie was because it was up against The Godfather.
The Godfather.
So, yeah, which is crazy because Cabaret is so good. Highly recommend everybody watch it this week.
Yes.
Before you join us for our second helpings episode of CelebReadies, which will be coming at you tomorrow. And we hope that you're enjoying these very special episodes of CelebReadies that we are bringing to you guys, because we knew the Liza memoir was going to be huge, and we didn't even we didn't even step on all of the insane amounts of other information that was in the first half of this book. There's so much that happens to this poor woman, I want to say.
There's so much, but like when the book dropped, Jackie and I were both very busy, and I was like, "Are we going to do this? Are we going to do this for CelebReadies?" And Jackie was like, "We can't. Let's put it off for now." And I had already bought the book, and I was like, "Well, I'll never read this book if we're not doing it for CelebReadies. It's 17 hours, so I'm just not going to read it." And then when we said, "Okay, this could be a good summer book club," I was like, "This is good because I actually do want to read this book. It's just that I'm not going to read a 17-hour book on my own." And so maybe for you, the listener, you're not going to read a 17-hour book on your own, but you can be moved by the life of Liza. What an incredible person, what an incredible life. And this is only the first quarter of it, because she's like 20 and she's 80 now. Yeah, and there's a lot more gay men to come, you guys. Don't worry about that.
And a lot more affairs to come. And she really treats it easy breezy. It's like, why not? The amount of times she can be engaged at once is something that I only thought J-Lo could do this. But she didn't even rack them up the way. I mean, at one point, I think that she was engaged to 3 people at one time. But anyway, we will get to that next.
We'll get to it.
Next episode. Everybody join us for our second helpings of part 2, Liza Minnelli's memoir. and I'm so excited. Thank you so much, MJ, for going on this journey with us. This has been enlightening. I hope you guys are enjoying it, and definitely check out Cabaret, check out the London Palladium, any clips from that if you want to feel, inspired by Liza Minnelli loving her mother almost too much. But let's sing the song, MJ. You ready for the end?
I'm getting my Liza voice on. All right.
Just take a look.
Take a look.
It's in a book. It's CelebReadies. CelebReadies.
Fantastic.